Good morning and welcome to SimWorld Today, Friday edition, and we are joined special guest Yells. Good morning, Yells. How are you? Welcome to SimWorld Today.
I'm optimistic today. My Rockets going to be taking on the Warriors, and we look good. I'm optimistic and feeling good this morning.
Um, I told B-Ron all about it. Don't worry. The last night or 2 nights ago, rather, felt a heck of a lot like Memphis Game 5 in 2022. But we'll find out how that goes down on Friday night. Let's start, though. We got plenty to get to, where we had two conference championship games, and we had a team advancing out of the Eastern Conference last night in the postseason. But we're going to start with Jackson State stunning number 8 Memphis on the road, taking down the Tigers in the American Conference, a continuation of what has been an absolutely incredible second half of the season here for Jackson State. Yells, this was a team I thought that everything that Memphis could anything that Jackson State could do, Memphis could do better, except last night, where Jackson State looked fantastic. D. Woodley looks to be a man possessed in the second half of the season. Your takeaways from Jackson State pulling a massive upset over the Tigers?
So I have a lot of strong thoughts on this, but I'll boil it down to just one. Jackson State obviously does not get the credit that it deserves right out the gate. Being new to the conference, being new to SimWorld U, stepping up from the HBCU, territory. So obviously, there's a lot to be said about them stepping up their level of competition. Two, you insert D Woodley. A lot of mixed feelings about him and some of the character flaws that he has. There's a lot that comes with D Woodley, but with that comes a lot of talent. But what has been said season long, to start the season, throughout the season, and even currently, even after we've seen the output of this team, is that they're a one man show. It's just D Woodley. And I think that we've actually seen, if you analyze his team, is he gets contributions from lots of guys. You got Renzo Bryant, who stepped up in a major way tonight, knocking down shots. Not much of a shooter, but he can facilitate, he can defend, he's long, he's rangy, and he's willing to do whatever his team needs to do. Is he going to be consistent offensively all the time? No, but he brings the effort, and that's what's needed. You got big Richard Alpine down there. That kid is just a walking ham sandwich, and he knows how to use it down low. He's on the glass, he defends, and he's a post presence. And then you have a slew of other kids, Roy Mason, Buddy Shackelford, who we've seen be just a rim protector. He gets it done, and he got it done tonight. But more importantly than all that, I'll say on the other side of this championship game, for everything I just said about Jackson State, and primarily Jackson State being a one man show, Memphis is the LDO show and not much else. And he does not have a lot of defensive help, Marsh. He does not have someone to back him up defensively. You got two big guys in the middle in KB Mack and Deontay Joyce. But they just seem to get lost. They're a little slow footed. The pick and roll coverage is not there. And Memphis they have a great record. Obviously, they're ranked. They have the name notoriety, and Jackson State doesn't. But when this game played out at the end of it, I mean, the game tape showed that Jackson State tonight and through the latter part of this season has been the more complete team. Um, maybe not the mega star that LDO is, that D Woodley is, but he's a guy who can get buckets, and he had a lot of help. So I'm excited to see what Jackson State can do in Hoopsteria.
I think this game came down to one simple thing, and that was the inability on the offensive end to stop Jackson State from getting into very high level, high percentage shots, and an inability to stop D Woodley from getting into those spots particularly. And I thought even when he wasn't, D Woodley made some really, really tough baskets, particularly in the second half when this game was still competitive. When they started going on their run, there was just a back and forth where at one end D Woodley's making a tough jumper, a tough layup, but honestly at some point some tough post moves. And then on the other side, Memphis just wasn't answering it. And I think that was ultimately it. It was as simple as that because in the first half traded leads back and forth throughout the first half. Jackson State had a little bit of some breathing room. Memphis erased it. And there early in the second, it kind of looked like Memphis was poised to kind of start pulling away with things. And they simply couldn't because their inability to make difficult shots and D. Woodley's propensity for it was all that this thing was decided on. It was simply difficult shot making between two defenses that really showed up. In ways that, as we were relating to Jackson State, I didn't expect their defense to be as good as it was. Some of that you can credit to the fact that this Memphis team, as you mentioned, is Lace Darius Outlaw and then a lot of question marks. I don't know that Jackson State is terribly different. It's just that last night, the supporting staff for Jackson State showed up, which is surprising on the road that Memphis did not.
Look, I'll add this. I'll add this one little stat in here for you. Jackson State, 5 of 11, 45% from 3-point range from a team that does not particularly shoot well from deep. Memphis, 4 for 13, 30% from 3-point range. I think along with everything else, I think that was a deciding factor. Renzo Bryan, if you would have told me Renzo Bryan was going to go 3 for 4 from deep, not a ton of buckets, but that's 12 bonus points right there.
Can I make a counterpoint to that? So you said 5 of 11 from Jackson State,
Yeah.
4 of 13 from Memphis. Really, I mean, yes, that's a big percentage swing, but that's 3-point difference. I mean, this game was not decided, and it's only 2 more shots. It's not like it's 30% on 25 attempts and 40% on 32 attempts or something like that. Like the number of shots were almost equal. It was a 3-point difference. Like I said, I don't know that it came down to that. What it came down to was what you closed with. Renzo Bryant 3 for 4. I mean that's the difference in this game. The supporting staff mattered, and D. Woodley was the better solo star than Lace Darius Outlaw, which I don't think anybody probably had on their bingo card. All right, let's head to the Mountain West. UNLV gets the win over San Diego State in the third time that those two teams matched up. That is the home team now 3-0 in the season series. Give me a number 1 to 10, your surprise level that UNLV won this game.
I'm gonna go 7. Pretty high up
Oh,
there for me.
really?
UNLV is a great team. Everybody loves them. Hey, look, my uncle went to UNLV. I'm a UNLV mark myself. I love what they've been over the years historically. And this year, I'm a nasty Nat Hawkins fan. I love him. I love his game. But I think they have major holes. We've seen them this season lose games that they should have won. They won games big that they should have lost. They are an absolute mixed bag. The only thing you know is that you're going to get a nasty Nat Hawkins highlight in a game, but you don't know what you're going to get. San Diego State has been the epitome of consistency. 19 and 11. Yes, they've lost games. Are they the Duke or the Virginia Techs of the world? No, they're not. But no major star, right? That's the hang. We live in a world where people they have to see a brand, man. They got to see some highlights. But I think it was said on the broadcast by JJP. They're just fundamental. It was a clash of fundamental versus flash, and UNLV pulled it out tonight. Jal Platts, who I'm hearing the reports, my insider information gave me that he was battling through injury. Just 14 points, or excuse me, 14 minutes. Played 12, scored 12 points in 14 minutes. Had he played more of this game, I think it would have been a little bit different of an outcome. But hey, what happened. So I can't argue with results. I'm a big time San Diego State fan, and I think for anyone who knows basketball, when you see Jal Platts, who is the leader of this Aztec team, plays only 14 minutes, and they're within striking distance of a conference title, that has to strike a little fear come Hoopsteria, because you don't know where to really key in on this team. They're going to battle you defensively. They're going to make the fundamental plays, and someone's going to hit the big shot. I know that's been a theme here with the SWBA playoffs, is you have to have a closer. Not sure who it is on this team, I'll be honest, but they just seem to get it done.
How are we going to look here and say San Diego State is the epitome of consistency and UNLV is somehow dramatically different than that when UNLV is 19 and 13 and San Diego State was 19 and 11? I mean, I don't see UNLV as a dramatically different team than San Diego State in terms of consistency. In fact, I think they've been more consistent. I mean, yes, we can argue about the non-conference mark, but over the last 14 games, UNLV was the more consistent basketball team amongst common opponents. San Diego State, I don't know that either of them was exceptionally consistent, considering they're only 6 and 8 games above 500, but To me, this was a 1 star surprise level because San Diego State, as I talked about in my preview with them and with, I don't think that was with Sniper J because I don't think they clinched them, but San Diego State, they they needed to play a defensive game, and UNLV right off the jump made that game. They set the tempo and they set the tone for it. They said we're going to play up tempo, we're going to play aggressive, we're going to play
Attractive.
fast. San Diego State does not have the bodies to keep up with that. And when yes, there is obviously a risk factor to playing fast. We could talk about Iowa plays at a high pace when they have Lemarian Sherwood healthy, but they really struggle if you slow it down. UNLV could have, but they forced the tempo to be at theirs and not at San Diego State's. And you're saying the game, they were in striking distance. Statistically, they were, but at no point in that second half did I think San Diego State was a legitimate threat to make a run at UNLV. UNLV always seemed to have control, to have poise, and every time that game got close, they just said, "We're going to put 2 to 3 buckets together. We're going to push this thing out to a distance that you can't get to, and we're going to run away with it." I'm not surprised at all that UNLV advanced in here. I think there's a big push for the fact that they're home. I mean, clearly that mattered for both of these teams when they played this season, 3-0 at home, like I said earlier. UNLV was just a better team, San Diego State, regardless of if your top guy's healthy or not, I did not see as a group that had a player that can match the tempo and the athleticism and the explosiveness of Nat Hawkins.
Can't disagree with it. Again, big Nat Hawkins fan there. But Marsh, I don't go. I use stats. Stats support what I see with my eyes. There's an eye test, and basketball is more than stats. But I'll
Sure.
use stats for you. The two primary ball handlers for UNLV, freshman and sophomore, both of them are averaging over 2 turnovers a game. They get loosey goosey. That's the inconsistency that I talk about in key moments of games. Right, everything's not all in linear stats. Often when you're watching a game, it's a game of runs and momentum at the time that those things happen. When I watch UNLV, I often, and I do mean very often, see them turn the ball over at times where they really should be pushing forward, and it allows teams back into a game. I don't trust UNLV. I'm excited by what they do. They're fantastic, fantastic television. They are great entertainment. I love them. Again, Nat Hawkins fan. I think Jarrell Beauchamp, if he spends some time in college, he's going to have a great pro career down the road. But this team, defensively, it's pretty when they're running. Hey, running Rebels! But and they came out running Marsh, but they don't take care of the ball. That fast-paced tempo lends itself to even more turnovers, and the inconsistency of them maintaining control of the ball and defensive effort, I don't believe in.
Well, they got it done last night. They will be the Mountain West champion after figuring out the regular season as well. Let's move to the SWBA, where the New York Knicks hold off a massive rally back from the Detroit Pistons to advance in 6 games in their first round series. The Knicks, what do you leave feeling better about? Do you feel leaving feeling worse about the Knicks or better about the Pistons?
This is the worst playoff series in history for me, Marsh. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. In history, I could. It's interesting that I'm on to talk about this because there's only one team that I could care about less than either one of these. But this is the topic here today. My biasness against Karl Anthony Towns, I won't hide it, and I will tell you I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm originally from New York. I would love to see them return, but I cannot stand Karl Anthony Towns and how he plays. On the other side, I love the upside. I love the leadership that I've seen from Cade Cunningham. I did not know this kid will really be everything that he was advertised to be. Um,
He's
but
good.
you say he's man, he's really good.
He's really
And I
good.
guess you're asking more about the future of these two teams. Is that what you're
No,
asking?
you're walking away from that, and do you feel worse about the Knicks, or do you feel better about the Pistons, both in the here and now and into the future?
I feel better about the Pistons. I
Yeah,
mean, Cade Cunningham he's a stud. I hate to use those the terms of everyone else. You got Tobias Harris. You have cap space abound in the very near future. You've shown that you have a very young leader that you can build around for some time. You have some other pieces there. It's just a great story for a team who struggled for some period of time. And I know the Knicks are in that same category, but they've just made strange move after strange move. And when I look at how their team's constructed, I know I'll get just blasted for this, but Who the hell is OG Anunoby? I know he's popped up here recently and he's turned into this great 3 and D wing, or he used to be a 3 and D wing and now he's just really that good. Big time Josh Hart fan. I have nothing to say there. Mikal Bridges was just another 3 and D wing, and Jalen Brunson, privy to a lot of calls, just like James Harden. Although I love his game and the energy he plays with. And again, Carl Anthony Towns has shown in the biggest moments that he just falters, that he's not checked in the games. Now, he hasn't done that yet. It's just been the first round, and they're playing the Pistons. So I'm not uberly excited about New York. They've shown over time what they'll do. They'll make the weird trade in the playoff series. They have players who will falter. And I am encouraged. Mainly, maybe I could just default to I think the Pistons are starting from a lower base than the Knicks are with far more upside and potential. So I'm feeling really good about the Pistons.
I'm feeling worse about the Knicks. I thought the Pistons did exactly what you would expect a sixth seed with a high upside in the future to do. We've had this recent run of young teams, not like they get into the postseason, they look good, and then we're like, this is the future, and then something happens and it all falls apart. The Kings, right? They're the 3 seed. They look good. It's light the beam. We've got De'Aaron Fox. We got Malik Monk. We've got a great head coach. They get beat by the Warriors. It's okay. It's a growing year, and turns out nope, it's all falling apart. The Memphis Grizzlies. They get a 2 seed. It's Ja Morant. He's the most exciting player in the world, and then he makes dumb decisions off the court, and nope, it's falling apart. The Houston Rockets heading in that trajectory. Not saying it's going to happen. The Detroit Pistons heading in that. So we've had this recent run of teams where they get to the postseason and they're almost a sacrificial lamb in the first round, but they make it more exciting in the first round. To me, I'm more concerned about the Knicks because you shouldn't have allowed this sacrificial lamb to push you to 6 games, and you shouldn't have allowed it to be a series in which we really should have been going back to New York 2-2 because of the non-call on the Tim Hardaway 3. And we could have been looking at overtime in Game 6 if Malik Beasley doesn't lose the ball with 1 second left and a wide open. It was a phenomenal play call from JB Bickerstaff to get Malik Beasley wide open for that look. You can't do that if you're New York because you see what Cleveland did. You see what Boston did, and I regret saying earlier that I thought the Knicks were a fringe contender because they clearly aren't. But if you're New York, you can't play with your food. I mean, heck, we saw what the Pacers did to the Milwaukee Bucks. And if you're New York, you got the Miami Heat were definitely the easiest matchup, but you got the second easiest matchup, I think, on paper if you're going into that postseason, and you let them push you to 6. And to me, that's unacceptable if you're New York. You needed to make that thing a sweep, a fiver. And the fact that Detroit pushes 6, I already feel great about Cade Cunningham. I love what this roster's done. I like what they look like for the future. New York needed to be more impactful than they were in this series because they did not look even closely equipped enough to handle Boston in this next round. And if Boston, I would have picked a win against New York anyway, this thing could be 5 if that's the Knicks version that we get in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, they don't look equipped to handle veteran play, someone who's been here before. And as I look over the box score, again, I said I don't like to talk about stats, but you allow, again, everything I said about the Knicks, OG, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Mitchell Robinson, campaign in moments, and Carl Anthony Towns is supposed. I mean, God damn it, he's 7 feet tall. He's 7 feet tall. 48 points in the paint to the Pistons. You allow that? What? How? They couldn't knock down a 3 to save their life. They shot 26% from 3 in the game. They couldn't hit a jumper, and you still allow them to get to the rim. I don't believe, again, I think we're probably aligned on this. I just don't see them taking down, or even, I'll dare say, I don't think that they can make it competitive in a
I
series
think
with
it's
any of the
5.
teams that are remaining.
It
You
feels
think
like a
5?
fiver. I
Well,
think
I
it
mean,
feels like
they can
5.
pick up one. They can pick up one. They can pick
It
up
feels
one.
like
And,
it
and
feels
that's about
like
it.
it feels like 5 because what did Detroit do? Well, they have a big, lengthy wing who can get into the paint, and then they have in Cade Cunningham, obviously, and then they have Durant inside, who's a filthy interior presence. The Celtics have both of those things, but better. with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis. So you're getting their next round opponent is a much, 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 much better version of the one that just gave you fits, and you were a minute and a half away from going back to New York for a game 7 with. So the road obviously only gets tougher. You didn't pass the practice exam with flying colors if you're New York, and now you're taking the AP history test after barely getting by that first exam. I don't trust New York to ace that, and like I said, I think it could be in 5. I don't know that I'm going to take it in 5, but if somebody comes from the future and says, "Hey, you're never going to believe it, the Knicks lost in 5 to the Celtics in the second round," I'm going to be like, actually, you know what? That
Very
sounds
much
about
so.
right. That sounds
Very
about right.
much so. Don't forget the -4 for the Knicks for having Karl Anthony Towns in the games that matter, and the +5 for whoever they're playing against. Those are just the stats. That's a 9-point swing in games that are pivotal.
Well,
With Karl Anthony Towns.
it's
Just a
also
fact.
interesting that with the game tied, with 15 seconds left, the 3-pointer that Jalen Brunson hit. Do you know who was not on the floor? Karl Anthony Towns. He was on the sideline. So that tells you everything that you need to know. Although I don't know if we can really read too much into that because Tom Thibodeau and rotations continue to not make any semblance of sense.
He's no JJ Redick. He's
Well,
no
be
JJ
careful.
Redick.
Well, be careful. JJ Redick might yell at you for asking a question, no matter what the question is. So things are testy in Los Angeles, and you know what? I personally am here for it. All right, that's our show. Appreciate you, Yells. I think we're gonna get you routinely on Fridays. Am I right?
Let's do it. Right
All
after
right,
Thursday Thursdays. Let's do it.
just what we need. All right, that's Yells on Marsh. This has been SimWorld today. We'll talk to you again on Monday when we will be reacting to a weekend full of conference championship games. Appreciate you tuning in here on SimWorld TV, only place you can see the game, be the game.